This is the MLW Radio Network. This is the Mind of the Meanie. Here are your hosts, the Blue Meanie and Adam Barnard.
Peace, world, and welcome everybody to the Mind of the Meanie, your weekly peek into the world according to former WWE superstar and ECW original, the Blue Meanie. We'll cover wrestling, music, movies, sports, and lots of useless knowledge, all contained in the Mind of the Meanie. I'm your tour guide, Adam Barnard, and he is the Blue Meanie. Meanie, what's on your mind?
Where has all the time gone, man? It's like, was it June already?
It's like almost the middle of June. Yeah.
Dude, I was freezing my balls off yesterday. It seemed like yesterday with, how it felt like, it was like December, like 2 months ago or 2 seconds ago. It probably was 2 months ago. I'm stupid. But dude, we're in June already. It's crazy. It's before you know, it'll be July, and before you know, it's August and September, and we're like, oh, it's so cold. But yeah, man, this time, I don't know if it's maybe because I'm getting older. Time seems to be going quicker. But, when you're a kid, time just fucking drags. You think, you're in fourth grade. Oh, I can't wait till I'm an adult. And then, I'm 49. I remember a couple lifetimes ago when I was just like, between fourth grade and high school seems like forever. But now, you see how much time goes by. It's like, it must be an age thing where time goes from dragging to just, pump the fucking brakes. It's going too quick,
Yeah, I noticed that recently with the kids. It's like, it's like my son's going to be 9 in 2 weeks, my oldest. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Where did the time go? Like, it's weird. It does feel like as you get older, time just moves infinitely faster. Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of ours, I remember that we're, sitting around waiting for their child to be born. And then I'm leaving my house. I see them and the kid's walking down the steps. I'm like, what? Excuse me? Why are you walking? It's like they're bringing you home, like yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's so weird just how just like time just flies by. But here we are. What's this? Episode 116?
This is episode, according to my notes here, this is episode 116, titled To Be Determined, because I'm sure I'll say something inappropriate during the show, and it'll be the title.
We'll just call the episode title To Be Determined and see if we fuck people up on the social medias when we post the link to it.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, I think you forgot to post the title, man.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't then.
I'm sure I'll take it from somebody. It'll be fine. But no, it's I'm always excited to be here. I can't believe we've been doing this together now for 6 months, which seems like we just started doing this together.
Yeah. 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 And, it's been great. There was those trial episodes where I was just like, real Josh was, taking time off and you're filling in, but just those times, it's weird just like how things just mesh together. It feels like we've been doing this since day one, it's good. It's good. The thing is, a lot of guys start podcasts and do podcasts and they burn out or, they just lose interest. And, I'm still all about it. I love doing this. I love our community. I love the Pod Squad. And, I'm happy, it's, you and I still have a Philly guy,
You lucked out there, man.
Bullshit with,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's what makes this show great is just like we really just kind of talk about anything. It keeps things fun and, there's always stuff to talk about, which, again, which seems like our perennial conversations anymore is Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, but they're in the news and we're going to talk about it. But, even the Phillies and sports stuff and music, like we did a whole fucking episode about music the other day, with George Carlin. Like that's what makes this fun because it's not just wrestling, but
that Carlin documentary is amazing. I don't
man.
talk about if we had watched it, but yeah.
I was surprised. Actually, let's start with that because I want to pick your brain about that because I did. I signed up for HBO Max and I watched it and it was absolutely everything I wanted out of a George Carlin documentary and more. But I was a little surprised. Well, first of all, it's always jarring to hear Stephen Colbert use dirty words. It's even more jarring because he's like America's dad. He's like one of those guys. And then he drops the 7 dirty words on you. Like, holy shit, I did not have Stephen Colbert saying tits on my bingo card. But they were all talking about how dark Carlin's comedy got at the end and how dark his shows were and how uncomfortable people were with that. And I guess I wanted to pick your brain. Did you have that same feeling as George got older? Did you have that sort of same reaction to him? Because I'm not sure I did.
I loved it. I'm just using, what's that Rage Against the Machine lyric, your anger is a gift, I love Angry George. He sounds like anybody else I would know from South Philly or, whatever. But, I love the good rant. But, there's a lot of revealing stuff in there, too. Like, it took a guy like Sam Kinison to come along to inspire George to, put the fucking foot on the gas. So, it just shows even the best have, like, inspirations for, everywhere. He started off wanting to be, George Carlin started off wanting to be Danny Kaye. Towards the end of his career, his second or third or fourth iteration was inspired just by the anger of Sam Kinison. Well, not the anger, but just the intensity.
Right. The drive, I felt like, is what got him because it was a unique style, and I feel like George, I'm sorry, go ahead. You were going to say something.
No. Go.
I just feel like George was the kind of guy who just like could read the room in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And I think he saw that and he realized, well, I gotta fix this because I'm not going to get anywhere.
And, I didn't discover George until Carlin and Carnegie came out. And what blew my mind in the documentary, they showed a bit from Carlin and Carnegie that never made air, which eventually made air in his other specials, the, Place for My Stuff, which he did later on in other specials. But, to see like bonus Carlin and Carnegie footage was mind blowing. But that's where I jumped on board with George. And then just to see prior to, Carlin and Carnegie, where like people start mocking him, which kind of annoyed me. They're showing people doing the bits of, George Carlin's, talking about food now or whatever, or George Carlin's talking about peas now. And there was a Second City SCTV skit where, and it kind of turned me off to those comedians, because really? I am such, yeah. I like, if I love something, and you make fun of the thing I love, you're dead to me. Like, I love Van Halen and I love Eddie Van Halen. Spoiler alert, right? I love all iterations, but if somebody wants to come at me and talk shit about it, I'll just cut you off and keep walking and act like he never existed because it's the thing that brings me happiness. And George Carlin brought me happiness. So when I see, people making fun of him, the other comedians, mind you, cracking jokes about George, that kind of turned me off to them because I was just like, George's legacy is going to outlive everybody, it was just recently brought up, George Carlin trends on Twitter at least a couple times a month.
Yeah.
No matter what's happening in the news, George Carlin's talked about it 20 something years ago. So, maybe that's just me being, I don't know if it's immaturity, but George means that much to me. If somebody's going to go shit on him, I'll be like, just be forewarned.
Yeah.
There's a line, and I will just forget you ever existed if you're going to shit on the thing that I love. So
I don't think it's immaturity, though. I think it's just it's a natural instinct that a lot of people have. Because I have that sometimes where people just shit on stuff that I like, and I'm like, fuck you, man. I don't, I can't look at that person the same way. Whether it's a comedian, whether it's somebody like for example, what's a good example? It's Amy Schumer, the comedian.
Okay.
Great, like she did the Steve-O roast, or no, not the Steve-O roast, but was it Charlie Sheen or Chevy Chase? One of them.
Did a few of them.
I think it was Charlie Sheen was the one where Steve-O was at, and she made that joke about Ryan Dunn. And about how, Ryan Dunn died, and, everybody was like, oh, my God. And I was like, well, I can't believe it wasn't you. And I look, I didn't know Ryan, but I was ancillarily familiar with him, and we knew each other. But, that dude died, not for anything. I know a lot of people have a lot to say about what happened with him, and, not all of those things are inaccuracies with what happened in his death. But, come on. It's just, I know you're trying to be edgy and fucking cool and hip and oh my God, look at how fucking funny. It's just that's just not funny. It's not funny. Yeah. This whole fucking town mourned that guy for weeks.
Yeah.
There was a cloud over this town for fucking weeks when he died. He was a beloved man in this town. And and beloved amongst his peers. And I was a fan of him before I even got a chance to meet him. And for me, it was I've just never been able to get that out of my head. I've never been able to not think about that. So I purposefully don't watch anything she does, because even Steve was like, oh, she feels bad about it. I was like, oh, I don't care. I know that seems weird to say, but it's sort of the same idea. It's I don't care. I did not like that one bit. And 11 years later, rather, I'm still not over it, and I guess that's my problem, but I don't know. But I agree. I think there's something, protective about things like that.
Right. Yeah. I'm very brand loyal when it comes to certain things. Now there's plenty of things I'm indifferent to. It's just I like it, but if you don't like, okay. But there's two specific things. Leave it alone. It's George Van Halen. And it was wrestling, but it's you're never going to, that's 100 years past me being on Earth. People are going to still, oh my God, how do you watch that? It's so fake. Well, yeah, throw your fucking TV out the window. TV is real.
I hate that though. And I was over watching in the neighborhood here. I hang out with some of the guys. We were watching, I don't know if it was the draft or a football game was on, and somebody put on SmackDown because it was on a replay on Saturday, and Drew McIntyre was on, and they were doing something with the New Day, and I just still sat there kind of embarrassed because everybody was staring at me because I know I do wrestling stuff, and I was just you know what? I'm not going to be embarrassed about liking this. I'm not going to be embarrassed about being a wrestling fan, because it used to be it used to be an outcast. Jim Ross talks about it all the time. You're like a carny folk, or people treat you like you're a backwoods dumbass. And it's no, I'm not gonna feel bad about this. I was some of this stuff might be super cheesy, but a lot of this stuff is really fucking great. And if you were able to get past your weirdness on it, then you would probably enjoy this too.
A friend of mine, Jerry, he has one of the world's best WrestleMania parties. He'll have it on in every room of his house. He gets the big projection screen for his backyard. He gets he rents a ring. He has a couple local guys do matches. He'll set up a table. He'll put out 100 lucha masks. You go grab a lucha mask. There's a bar full of liquor and moonshine, and he flies in shrimp from fucking New Orleans. It's the best fucking party ever. But that said, some of the people who go to his WrestleMania party are just there for the party, right? So this one year we're sitting there, and there's a bonfire going. I'm sitting in my chair, trying to enjoy my buzz and watch some WrestleMania. And there's a guy next to me. He's just dude, oh, that's so fake. Oh my God. I'm yeah, man. Yeah. I've kind of been doing it for 20 years. Yeah. You don't have to explain it to me. Oh man, I look at him. I was you kind of give him the subtle back off, yeah, man. Yeah, kind of been doing that. And then there's one point where he just said something. I was boy, I bet you're fun at the fucking movies. Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's not really a robot. I started saying it real loud, and the guy just kind of looked at me, and I kind of looked at him, and he just kind of like did the slow back off and fucked off. I was like, dude, it's wrestling,
Right. Like, dude, fuck yourself.
Saying that wrestling is fake in front of wrestling fans is not edgy, or if anything, it's played out, because people have known wrestling has been predetermined since the early 1900s. There's a newspaper article somewhere out there. I wish I still had the clipping, where Vince McMahon admits in the paper, well, if the guys really did what they would do, we'd be calling a lot more ambulances, or something along those lines. And that was like in the 60s, so or, Jack Pfeffer used to he got kicked out of NWA, so he started doing things to expose the business back in the day. But I don't know how we got down this side road.
Hey man, but this is why people listen to the show. But as a side note, we were watching Peacock. We had the cock on yesterday in my bedroom, and Courtney, my beloved wife, we pulled up ECW. If you notice too, if you go to Peacock, if you go to the cock and you look at the WWE tab, and you look, you see like ECW, or you see like WCW, and like the pay-per-views, and then right over on the right-hand side, you can just make out, like if you know what you're looking for, you can just make out the little E on the side there, because they push you guys. You guys are the redheaded stepchildren. They push you all the way to the side. And I pulled it up, and I was like, I'm going to see if I can find Meanie on the channel. And she was like, she was like, this is the stuff Meanie was on, right? Bless her heart. She's still learning. And I was like, yeah, there's Meanie here.
We're in the basement with our stapler.
I was told I would get a piece of birthday cake.
It's ECW.
That's pretty much, yeah. And she was watching this, and she was like, she's watching some of the stuff. Just in the intro, she was like, who is that little man being thrown by Bam Bam Bigelow? And she was like, this is insane. I was like, I'm telling you, like, this was crazy. But to your point, though, I mean, I watched you do the meaniesaults and the flips and the jump, like all, and not just you, but all of these guys. And like, that probably didn't feel good doing that all the time. Like, was there ever a time where you were in the ring and you couldn't sell it, where you hurt yourself while you did like a meaniesault, or you landed the wrong way, somebody wasn't positioned right? Like,
believe it or not, like, it hurt more to miss the meaniesault than actually hit it.
Really?
Because, like, I guess when I knew I was missing it, I was a little bit more kamikaze about it. Like, all right, here we go.
I'm just gonna eat shit to do it.
Yeah, and just I knew when I had to hit it, I had to be more mindful and protective. So
yeah,
kind of like I want to call it the teeter-totter effect when somebody where they kind of like roll off them kind of thing. But I mean, there's maybe like once or twice. There's one or two times it hurt. I think there was one time I went to do it against Axl Rotten, and I missed the meaniesault, and it just like knocked the fucking wind out of me. And that was at like Lulu Temple. And then this one time, I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know if the ropes were slippery or somebody had like baby oil, but I didn't get like the full rotation. I almost like, almost lawn darted. And my neck was a little stiffsky after that. But dude, the first one I ever did was first time in a ring. An untrained professional wrestler named Brian Heffron got into a ring at a convention where they let you roll, backyard wrestle, but in a ring with your best friend for a couple minutes, and they film it. And there's footage out there somewhere. And I went to do it at the convention, and they had like a steel cage set up, so I was like fearless. So because I can balance myself on the top rope at the top cage, but when I did it, I just face first. I was like, oh. And like everybody who was watching it said, I was climbing the top rope, and all the wrestlers that were at their tables, like Ted DiBiase, Road Warrior Am, all of them, watched me climb. And when I did, they were just like, disgusted that, the promoter was letting us go on. But, fuck it.
Man. Well, it's just, I'm always curious because I always hear people like, oh, this wrestling is fake and this, that, and the other. And it's just like, it's not fake. Like, you're using the wrong word. Like, you're not, you don't, first of all, you sound like a fucking moron when you say that stuff. But second of all, like, these guys have died in the ring. Like, people have seriously, like, Big E is lucky to be alive. Like,
you can't fake gravity.
No.
So, I mean, gravity is very real and unforgiving. So, it's just ignorance. It's just a matter of trying to sound like you're in the know. You have the inside track on a stock that nobody's fucking betting on.
Right.
And nobody cares because they just enjoy wrestling for what it is.
If you want to see what I'm doing right now about people in the know, you should sign up at patreon.com/mindofthemeanie, and you can see what I'm doing right now to all those fucking people that are in the know. But you just mentioned something that's a good transition point to one of our two topics that we seem to talk about a lot. You mentioned sorry guys. So it's in the news. It's what we got to talk about, and I'm excited to talk about it. You mentioned that, like, not being able to catch your breath, like getting the wind knocked out of you. I know what happens to me, even if like I choke on water and I'm like trying to catch my breath. I can't imagine being in the ring in a match in front of thousands of people trying to catch my breath after I got the fucking wind knocked out of me in the middle of the ring. And you have to no sell it. Like, I can't even imagine. And then I don't know the context. Like, I don't know if you have to if you had to continue the match after that, or if that was just like the end of it, but like,
I don't even remember, but it was an awkward moment because I missed the meanie salt and I don't even remember what happened. I just remembered, thank God, Paulie didn't hold that one against me because like the match just kind of went south after that.
Well,
thank God it was just a regular house show and not a TV taping, but it is what it is.
But then I think about like the Elimination Chamber with Rob Van Dam accidentally landing on Hunter's throat, and he still went on with the match. Like he probably couldn't breathe. Or Scott Steiner almost died 10 years ago. We had a torn throat or something. They were like, he's got 4 hours to live. Like, that's crazy to me. But the big news was Cody Rhodes and Seth, and according to WWE, his new name, Seth Franklin Rollins.
What a great typo.
Honestly, who had an incredible banger of a match at Hell in a Cell. And before we talk about that, I have to say I love the Twitter discourse where everybody's like, oh, this is a fucking throwaway card and nothing's going to be good on this, blah, blah, blah. And then they open the show with the three-way dance with the women and they fucking tear the house down.
Yeah.
Every match on that card was phenomenal. Yeah. Every match was solid.
Yeah, it was probably one of the better Hell in a Cell pay-per-views, which for whatever reason, I thought I tuned in, think I was going to watch Money in the Bank for some reason. my timeline is all fucked up. But yeah, that was definitely one of the better Hell in a Cell events. There wasn't really a bad match where you go, show was good, but that one match. No, the Cody Seth match, dare I say, was a classic.
I would say you were correct because our dear friend Dave, my house is dirty and it's a fire hazard, Meltzer, gave it a 5-star rating. And I tweeted today, even a broken clock is right twice a day, because he's fucking right. That shit was incredible. Meanie, what were your thoughts on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, and also Cody wrestling with that horrific looking injury on his pec?
Yeah. Safe to say, I'll never know what it's like to wrestle with a torn pec. I would need to have a pec in the first place.
I need to have two.
Yeah. But no, I've had, I've worked hurt and stuff like that. And it takes a lot to, gut your way through it. Probably one of the worst injuries that affected me in the ring was, maybe 96. I was, me and Stevie were working a tag match in Maryland for, I want to say MEWF at the time. We're wrestling the Headbangers, and I go to do the meanie salt, and there was a chair left in the ring, and it was seat side down.
Oh no!
And my knee hit like the part where the the frame of the seat that's upside down, and my knee just blew up like a balloon. And I don't know what damage was done because I'm a wrestler, I'm cheap, I don't want to go to a hospital and looked at, and I kept working, even though it's just like, typical Raven run in and do stuff things. But like there's times where I had to go to the meanie salt and it would turn into a meanie salt / inverted elbow drop.
Yeah.
Meanie, how'd you do that? That looked great. Oh yeah. I meant that. So for, Cody to go in the ring and basically work with, one pack. It's just, not, man, you could just look at his face and just see it when he was just peeling the jacket off. And everything they did was like perfect, from him coming out and not really revealing it until, the jacket came off and stuff like that. And I can't imagine, because when they say when you take a bump in a ring, it's the equivalent of a tiny fender, like if a car bumps another car's bumper, like, me parking in South Philly, parallel parking. Yes.
Blue Meanie, parallel parking king of Philadelphia. Fuck what you heard. It's what you're hearing right now.
Yeah, I sent you those photos giggling. I was like, oh man, wait till you see this fucking park.
It's incredible.
But just two bumpers, like that's the equivalent of taking a bump, and doing that with a torn pec. I think Cody Rhodes put himself into another stratosphere with that match. And that's no knock on any match he had before, or and it's not a knock on anything he's done before. It's just a fact that he went out there in an advertised match with a torn pec and still delivered a classic match, to where, he was like the underdog right from the get-go. I was like, if I'm in the back, I'm like, well, shit, let's just start with a comeback.
Yeah.
But they worked in so much, just the minor things they did right, like him trying to lift up the sledgehammer and not being able to lift it, and then when he finally does, he just lets out that guttural yell and gets it up and for the final blow, and it was so well done. And shout out to Seth, shout out to Cody. They both really put on a hell of a match, to where you see the fans is biting on everything. And it's one thing to have an injury, but when you can see the injury like that, it puts the whole match in another dynamic. I could pretend that, I have a busted knee. I could pretend, limp around. But when you see that blood in the chest cavity and going down the arm, that just puts it over that much more, in the fact that he gutted it out. I don't know how long the match went, because I'm not sitting there with a stopwatch, but it was fantastic. And then there wasn't a moment where I was like looking at my watch or looking at my phone, because I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty,
Dude, it went almost 25 minutes.
That's remarkable.
24 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
That is crazy.
And, shout out to, Seth dropped 3 straight matches to Cody,
And that's another thing, like.
And then it didn't matter.
It didn't hurt Seth at all. His character is still I would argue, more over because of the work that he's been doing with Cody.
Yeah.
But I would say that this trio of matches, I went back last week or the week before and watched Cody and Seth's match from WrestleMania, watch Backlash. I would watch this again. And I'm the same way. Sometimes I'll get like, I got to check my phone, or, tweeting on Twitter. But there was not a moment. I was fully invested in this match. And a couple of people have mentioned this, and I think friend of the show, Brian Last, had also mentioned this on the Cornette's program. This crowd was silent for at least it really, I think he said something along the lines. He was just like, it sounded like the air was sucked out of the arena when he took his jacket off, because people are just, no one reacted when he took, you could hear people go, oh my God, like you could hear that gasp the collective gasp from the crowd, but like nobody reacted to any of the moves for a good 5 minutes because they were like, holy shit, what are we watching right now? Like, what are we looking at? And I think it's commendable that Cody was able to stick it out as long as he did. I can't imagine. I can't imagine what kind of pain he was in. I know there's a segment of people online that are, screaming about Vince and how could he let him wrestle and this, that, and the other. And that discourse is just fucking insane. Because if there's, you just go find a physician, they'll tell you the same thing. There's literally no more damage he can do to himself once that muscle's off the fucking bone, once that tendon's off the bone. You're just in a lot of pain.
Shout out to Busted Open.
Yeah.
Bully and Dave had on a doctor specializing in that. I wish I could remember the doctor's name, but the doctor is like, there's only so much damage that could be done. If he's willing to put up with the pain, you can't damage it any more than it's already done. It's just a matter of going down and getting it fixed. The only thing I wish they would just let Cody ride off into the sunset and get the surgery and all stuff. And he came out the next night and did the promo and with, Seth attacking him. I kind of wish they just would have let it like that. The last visual of Cody was him winning, that pain, and then off into the locker room. And then he's out of sight, out of mind until he comes back in the Rumble. Yeah.
Well, they're saying well, he might be back at Money in the Bank. He's talking about winning at Money in the Bank. And I'm like, brother, that's not even a month away, man. That's like 6 weeks. Or actually it might be a little more than a month. It might be 6 weeks at the most. But like, bro, that's not how this works, man.
Wishful thinking. But go get that thing fixed, dude.
Dr. David Chow was the doctor that was on Busted Open. So yeah, I actually listened to that. And shout out to friends of the show, Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca.
Love those.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic guys. I was thoroughly impressed by that. And like we said, Dave, dearest Dave, rated the match with a 5-star rating, which is completely made up. But also, like, it's true. Like, I haven't seen a match in a long time where I feel like has got a consensus of, hey, this was really fucking good and you should probably check it out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the event overall was great. You said, the women came out and tore the house down. That was an amazing match.
Big time.
Bravo to everybody on that. That was one of the better events of the year so far.
I would say so. And one question before we move on to the next injury. The other top baby face of the company, the Judgment Day, which features two of your people, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Edge is out. Finn Balor's in. How do you feel about that turn?
To me, that's just a product of Cody being out for the next couple months, and they need a baby face.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. I'm literally processing this as you're saying it right now. Holy shit, I didn't even think about that. That Edge was going to fill that spot while Cody was out.
If Cody had not been injured and tore his pec and all this stuff, Edge would still be in the Judgment Day, but they need a top baby face. So it's just a matter of, practicality,
Wow.
Yeah. It sucks because I really loved what they were doing with Judgment Day and as a unit, as a faction. And I loved Evil Edge. I loved the new music. I loved the lighting. I love the new haircut.
Yeah.
It's so good. But, I love Damian Priest, one of my dudes. Rhea is amazing. I wish because I hate when they hotshot things almost like, not that they were hotshotting because they had to do this to get Edge to be a babyface again. But like, I hate when they start a faction and the faction's over. It's like, I love longevity.
It's like the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business, like, I feel like...
Amazing.
What's that?
The Hurt Business was amazing. It was a great name, a great faction.
I wonder if they're bringing it back because I think they're tying in Cedric Alexander now with Bobby Lashley again. I would love to see those guys on a face run, but I think they really missed the boat with the Hurt Business and the Bloodline at a Survivor Series match. I really think that could have done big fuck. For Christ's sake, Paul Heyman and MVP having a fucking mic war. Like, come on, guys. Come on, Bruce. What are you doing? What the fuck, man?
And I love MVP with Omos.
Yeah.
Omos is great, but he needed that extra piece, and MVP's not just a piece, but not only he's a great manager. He could be a great mouthpiece for Omos, but he can also be a great teacher for Omos because MVP's got a great mind, one of the best minds in business. So as Omos is, getting ready for a match, he's got MVP there to help him think of different ways of doing different things in the ring. And from all I've heard is Omos is everybody universally really likes Omos as a person in the locker room too. So it's good to see a good person like Omos get, paired up with a great guy like MVP. I love MVP.
Well, I was thinking I had to have a little recalibration recently. I was talking about Omos and Duke Bennett's front of the show. Great podcast calls Duke Loves Wrestling. Go ahead and check it out anywhere you find your favorite podcast. But typically he and I talk wrestling all the time. And I brought it up. I was like, man, I'm not really feeling Omos. I don't know what it is. He's not clicking with me. And he was like, brother. Yeah. He's like, he calls me AB. He goes, AB, listen. He goes, think about it this way. He's like, you are programmed to believe. He's like, I feel like, he's like, you're programmed to look at Omos and be like, he needs to do more than what he's doing. Because we're used to guys being in the ring now in both companies, coming in, fucking shit up, flipping and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's like, Omos is just a big man doing big man things. He doesn't need to do flips. He doesn't need to do, backflips and jump kicks and anything, drop kicks, anything else. He's like, he just needs to stand there and look crazy. He's like, Omos and Cody Rhodes will be a main event someday within the next year. He's like, I guarantee Omos and Cody Rhodes will be in a main event. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like, I'm looking at this incorrectly. I'm looking at this in a way where I'm like, oh, well, Omos has to do all this crap. And I'm like, no, you're right. Like, I didn't think about it that way. And now that I have it in that context, I'm like, yeah, this is fucking great. This is exactly what needs to be done if they're going to push Omos as another top guy.
Well, Omos is great. He just needed a little bit more flavor.
Right.
And MVP adds that flavor to him. Like he almost as like a prize fight manager as a way, almost like I don't want to say Don King-ish, but like along those lines, of a Don King type manager / player manager,
right?
Kind of like a Pete Rose type where he's managing the players, but also playing along, because he can still go in the ring. You know?
Well, I mean, it's almost like it's different than like CM Punk having Paul Heyman for that period of time. It's like CM Punk can do this shit by himself. Adding Paul Heyman is literally just putting a fancier hat on top of a really fancy hat already. Like there's no additional value. It's just everybody looks great. But this I think definitely was that needed flavor to take him to Flavor Town. But what's not Flavor Town, Meanie, is CM Punk with an injury. Our second favorite talked about person on this show, CM Punk, or Chick Magnet Punkit, which is his full Christ-given name.
Yes.
Injured, out with a foot injury.
What a shame, man. Just when you have like a real special moment like that, did they say where the injury had occurred?
So
it was during 6-man or something like that?
I don't know, because I went back, I watched something on Twitter where when he jumped into the crowd, when I guess it was his first appearance. And it looked like after he jumped into the crowd, you can watch his ankle or his knee or something hit the side of the guard, like the guardrail. And after he did that, he was limping. So I don't know if that was the initial onset and then the match just kind of fucked him up even more. But yeah, I mean, it's just what a string of bad luck for champions right now. Think of and big names. Roman, according to the rumor and innuendo, is taking time off to recover from that shoulder issue. You have, Cody's out. CM Punk is out. Kenny Omega is still out. Bryan Danielson is out now. Big E is injured. May not wrestle again. Matt Cardona is injured. It's like, the fuck is in the water here, guys?
So what happened with Cardona? I missed that because you know how he does things, and I'm like, is he playing possible? Because they did the thing with Chelsea where she's like, oh, broke my wrist again.
Yeah,
showing photos of her in the cast, and it just turned out it was just a work. So when with Cardona with the injury,
right,
and being in a wheelchair, I'm like, is he playing possum? And where he goes to the ring and with the championship, and then just jumps out of the wheelchair and decks the guy with the belt.
Did it again. Here's the 10 pounds of gold in your face. Let's FaceTime Josh and see if he can let us know, because he might be able to illuminate us a little bit. So yeah. No, but it just seems like there's just something going around right now, and it sucks because it's like this is the bad shit that happens, and it's like, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. You just got to keep moving. But I am still sitting here stewing. Before I get into my next question, I'm still sitting here stewing about the Edge thing and how I didn't realize that was why. Like I was like, literally, like I'm like, holy shit, that is incredible.
That was the break glass in case of emergency situation.
So do you think they're going to put him up against Roman?
Who?
Edge.
Well, I think he's got a bone to pick with the guys who just turned on him first. So, with Finn and Damian, which only suits to benefit. Damian gets to work with Edge for a little bit. That's great for Damian.
Right.
I mean, Damian's a great worker anyway, but just to have, shit, I would love to get back in there and work with Edge, and I worked with him back, when he was in the Brood and the puffy shirt.
We know a couple guys we could probably call if you want.
Yeah, I'm good for surprises, brother.
Brother. Listen, Hal will do it. You can be the quiet, silent type. I'll come and walk you to the ring. I'll be your manager, the blue manager. It'll be a good time, man. It'll be a good time. I'll put on some Daisy Dukes too. Show off, accentuate the features here. But I'm thinking Blue Meanie for the AEW Interim World Champion competition is where my head is really at right now.
Somebody told me AEW just they're making another belt?
Yeah, it's like the All Atlantic Championship belt. Why? Guys?
There's too many belts.
Why? It's starting to feel like participation trophies a little bit here, guys.
Look, I'm a belt mark. Wholeheartedly. I got 3 behind me right now. I think I have a 4th on the way. But, enough of the... there's a lot in WWE, but then again, you got 2 brands.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of belts, and you got, you got the world, you got the tag, you got
TNT, TBS.
TNT, TBS, the women's title. So I like the fact that they have the TBS belt as like the women's intercontinental belt kind of thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
As a fan, I always thought the intercontinental belt was cooler than the world belt.
Agreed. There was something super rad about it, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was like the working man's belt.
Yeah.
I grew up loving Don Morocco, and I thought Don Morocco was an amazing intercontinental champ, and I got a spot in my heart for secondary titles, just like I have a spot in my heart for tag team wrestling. I'm a bigger fan of tag team wrestling because most of my career has been tag teams.
I always loved the Intercontinental title. I always enjoyed the Intercontinental title matches. There was, like you said, it's the working man's belt, so it's always something exciting. I was bent out of shape when they fucking combined it for a while. I forget. I think they merged it with
the United States.
And I was like, this is a mistake.
Yeah,
this is a mistake. Yeah. Also, shout out to Little Jimmy's joining us in the chat right now.
What's up? Sorensen level.
Hashtag Sorensen level. You can be hashtag Sorensen level too by going to patreon.com/mindofthemeanie right now. I just want to know, before we get into Ask Meanie here, what's your prediction for the winner of the interim AEW Championship tournament?
So they had the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
And Kyle O'Reilly won it?
I think Kyle O'Reilly won, yeah.
And he's facing Moxley.
So we know where that's going.
Well, look, initially at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, I almost called it something totally way goofier.
What were you going to call it?
Not enough. Let's leave it at that. It's late. I had a full day, so the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. It was supposed to be Punk against Tanahashi,
right?
Which, if anything, they should have left Tanahashi as the challenger for whoever won the Battle Royal.
Yeah,
I mean, I would love to see if they put it on Kyle O'Reilly just to shock the world. But
that would be
facing Moxley. You basically know Moxley's going to win. Yeah. So hopefully they have that in mind. They go, well, no, let's put it on Kyle. Just
stir it up a little bit.
Yeah, just a belt only means so much if only certain people are going to win it.
Right.
If you put the belt on to Kyle O'Reilly, that's fucking amazing.
It's a unique choice.
Yeah. Well, I would not be opposed.
What about the chances of them putting on Tanahashi or even Okada?
That would be great too. I mean, just for the fact that, it's a world title. It should be defended around the world, not just on Wednesdays in one city in the United States.
Right.
Of America. It should be defended around the world. So, yeah, put it on to Tanahashi. Let him take it over to New Japan or, just and mix it up a little bit. I mean, I loved when they were, they had, Omega going down to Mexico with it.
Yeah.
So that just let it bounce around for a little bit and, still keep it in AEW, but let it bounce around like the NWA world title would bounce around, for a little bit just to give the belt some higher prestige and some credibility. Not that it doesn't have credibility, but like I said, it's the world title and it's being defended once a week.
Right.
And maybe twice a month when they do the, once a week, which is 4 times a month, with an occasional 5th time for the month because they only run one show a week.
Right. Yeah. I feel like, and I know Will Ospreay is in the mix now. I don't really have a good gauge on who it is that's going to take this, but I think perhaps a good swerve bro would be, it feels gross coming out of my mouth when I say it. But I feel like a good turn on this might be to put the belt on Tanahashi and let him and Punk go at it when Punk is back. I think that if Tony is reading the tea leaves, if you will, or reading the room, that might be.
Do we know exactly what happened? We know Cody tore his pec.
Right.
It's just a foot injury. They're playing it off like hockey. He has a lower body injury. You know what I'm saying?
I'm looking it up right now. He just had surgery. All they said was that it was his lower leg, but that it is believed to be a broken foot that he needed surgery on. So he must have done something pretty gnarly to it to require surgery. But it's a shame, man. Again, it's crazy to think about all these injuries that are going around right now and all the top stars that are out. But again, it's also an opportunity to really build stars. And I know that full disclosure, we're recording this on Friday night, June 10th. So SmackDown is currently on the air. And we will find out who the winner of the Ricochet Gunter match is for the Intercontinental title. But I feel like Gunter's going to fucking chest chop Ricochet into the fucking stratosphere. Like, that dude's going to bump around the ring like a fucking maniac, man. For somebody like Gunter, that's going to be nuts.
He chops your chest, but the handprint shows up on your back.
Man, he looks like he smacks people so hard their kids can feel it.
Yeah.
That dude is a fucking monster.
Fucking dust him for Prince. Right off his chest.
But I think Gunter would be a good choice for an IC champion because it is the working man's belt.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with Ricochet, but I feel like Gunter may be a good choice to put back in and really make it dominant, especially if, Roman's out or whatever's going on. But we'll see. Lots of things to look forward to. Another thing to look forward to, Meanie, at this moment is a question. Would you like to ask Meanie?
I would love to. It's time to ask Meanie anything. Ask me something.
Don't forget, tweet us your questions at Mind of the Meanie. And don't forget to use the hashtag AskMeanie so we can ask it on the show.
It's the shits.
I can't remember what regular air smells like.
Couldn't get through a show without doing that. Lots of questions here.
Before we move on, let me open up my refreshing seltzer.
There you go.
Little Canada Dry Mandarin.
Do you remember? Do you remember the commercials for Canada Dry from back in like the 90s on the radio? Canada Dry ginger ale, it's not too sweet. And he'd be like, all right, now the women, and all right, now the men, and all right, now the tone deaf, and Canada can't be beat. Oh my God, dude, that shit used to fucking
vaguely remember.
Crack me up, man.
I'm going to Sandman it here in 3, 2, 1.
There you go. That'll line up beautifully when I put it together here. All right, got a couple of questions for you here. Mark and Dryden always got good questions.
Yes, sir.
Mark and Dryden, what's an underrated territory that always seems to get overlooked in wrestling history?
Oh, for me, it's, in my opinion, Mid-South slash UWF, because to me, that was my ECW growing up.
Right.
You know, I was a huge fan of Dr. Death Steve Williams. I knew about him from the After magazines and, you know, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, One Man Gang. And then one day in my channel surfing activities, there was a channel in like central New Jersey, and the whole week they were just showing like a satellite image of the weather. But for like 1 hour on a Saturday night, they played, you know, the Universal Wrestling Federation. And I watched it religiously. And, you know, nowadays, you know, and people rightfully so, everybody talks about Crockett or World Class, you know, AWA. But for me, it was UWF Mid-South. And then you can also say Portland is an underrated territory that nobody really talks about. But I have zero knowledge on Portland. Not zero, but maybe 20% knowledge, because I know who wrestled there, but I really didn't watch the product. And I've seen maybe like one documentary on Portland wrestling. But for me personally, since I actually watched it religiously and still watch it, you know, it would have to be Mid-South slash Universal Wrestling Federation.
Mark and Dryden, second question. Magnum TA, Kerry Von Erich, Gino Hernandez. Which of these three would have been the most successful if things didn't end up the way they did for them?
Oh, Magnum.
Big time.
Magnum TA, just, he was going to be the next NWA World Champion, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they gave him the fucking mega push. And, you know, rightfully so. Like, he would beat guys in like 5 seconds. Guy would rush him belly to belly. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Boom. He had the fucking great. He was a damn handsome man, that Magnum TA. Good looks. Could talk through the camera. Blue collar in nature. You know, when he cut a promo. And, you know, he had the mega push in the season. He had the rub from Dusty and, you know, everybody like that, you know. So it's a shame, you know, just one hydroplane and, you know, a freak accident. I remember that too. It's just, it was shocking, you know.
He wasn't even doing anything wrong in that accident. It was just was he speeding? Was he drinking? Was it just a hydroplane?
From what I understand, he was hydroplaning in his Porsche, which, if you're from the Philly area, there was another accident. Pelly Lindbergh died in a Porsche, trying to maintain a curve, and crashed into a wall here in the South Jersey, Philly area. And he was that, you know, for, you know, a Philadelphia sports fan, that devastated, you know, that is, it was, you know, being a Philly sports fan and a pro wrestling fan, it was like a 1-2 punch, because it was like within a year span that Magnum TA wrecked his Porsche, got paralyzed, and then Pelly Lindbergh wrecked his Porsche and died. And he was going to be like the next, you know, Bernie Perrant, as far as I'm concerned, you know, in hockey. And the runs, you know, selfishly, you know, the run that, you know, the Flyers could have gone on with him, you know, you can fantasy book that just like you could have fantasy booked Magnum, being an NWA world champion. I'm confident he would have been an NWA world champion.
Yeah, he probably could have won the big gold belt. He probably maybe could have made the transition to WWF.
Yeah,
who knows? It's a shame. I feel like for me, like in the lore of wrestling history,
they asked Kerry Magnum, and who was the other one?
Gino Hernandez.
Yeah, Gino could have, but hearing people who knew Gino, like Bruce, he was comfortable, flying his personal jet, around Dallas, and I don't think he would. I think he could have been the next big heel in wrestling, but he just preferred to. He wasn't a fan of the travel,
right?
Which is understandable. If you're making that much bank just wrestling in Texas, who knows? But then again, eventually Vince probably could have coaxed him to come up eventually.
ECWWrestling.com wants to know, when ECW ran commercials for items like premium wear, did you have any input on the design of clothing or what you said on camera or any other involvement besides just being asked what you read in your script?
That's funny. Script.
ECW had a script?
Yeah, you're assuming I could read. No, I had zero input. And the premium wear commercial was just like a random thing they asked me to do. That was filmed at the airport Marriott down, ironically, at the airport, Philadelphia International. Dreamers like Meanie, come down to the Marriott. We got an idea for a promo. Show up in the hotel and there's Chastity, Beulah, Francine. All right, Meanie, here's what we're going to do. And he just told me what we're going to do, and we did it. And it was as simple as that, Yeah, we did a lot of run and gun stuff, even though we didn't have to do a run and gun with this because, I was in the hotel room at the Marriott. But, yeah, I didn't have any say. I wish I had some of the merch, but, they didn't, they didn't have any Meanie-sized premium wear stuff, but I still have my ECW varsity jacket, so that's cool.
That is cool. And what else is cool is doing this show with you, Blue Meanie. It is always a pleasure to do this program with you and get to ask you these questions and to pick your brain. But I gotta know, where can people find you on your social media?
Well, kind sir, if you would like to follow the Blue Meanie, you can follow me on all forms of social media at Blue Meanie BWO. If you would like to support the Blue Meanie, go to prowrestlingtees.com/Blue Meanie. If you would like to support Mind of the Meanie, go to prowrestlingtees.com/Mind of the Meanie, where you can get some great t-shirts. Our boy Andy Slichter just sent me that design that's going up at the prowrestlingtees.com/Mind of the Meanie that popped me, and if You'll probably only get it if you're from Philly, but I love it. And that's going up soon. Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand. I do a lot of stuff with Rod Hicks over there at Collar and Elbow. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Use coupon code Meanie. Save 10%. And look good while doing it. Speaking of looking good, if you want your beard to look good and smell good, go to madcatbeardcare.com. Get yourself the blue spruce. Josh Thornton, my boy over there, Josh Thornton's doing an amazing job with Mad Cat Beard Care. I do not draw a dime from the sales of the Blue Meanie Blue Spruce. All the money goes to taking care of the feral cats in his area. He rescues them. He takes them to the vet and pays for them all on his dime. This goes to help the kitties. So if you're a big fan of cats, and even if you don't have a beard and somebody with some pretty kick-ass facial hair, go to madcatbeardcare.com. Get the blue spruce. Go to cameo.com/Blue Meanie BWO for birthdays, holidays, and well wishes. I've done some interesting well wishes over there at cameo.com/Blue Meanie. upcoming program alert or upcoming appearance alert. Yes, sir. I will be at the Legends of Hamburg convention at the world famous Hamburg Fieldhouse, where they filmed a lot of the WWF programming, and ECW ran there as well. The Pro Wrestling Fan Fest returns to the Hamburg Fieldhouse July 23rd. That is a Saturday, July 23rd, 2022. Like I said, where's the time going? Go to legendsofhamburg.com. Our rumor has it our boy Andy Slichter might be out there making a surprise appearance. Well, he'll just come up and go peekaboo. Go to legendsofhamburg.com. Come out, say hello to the blue guy. And where can we find you, Mr. Adam?
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You can find me on Facebook. No, not Facebook. I do this all the time. Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at This Is Goober. Yes, it's my handle. No, I'm not changing it. It's a brand, pal. You can also listen to my secondary program, Foundation Radio, by going to foundationradio.net. Lots of great conversations, including with some Hall of Famers like Rob Van Dam, Bill Goldberg, and Eric Bischoff. Check it out right now, foundationradio.net. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/foundationradio. Pick up a shirt. Help me keep the lights on in my house. I got 4 kids to feed. Every little bit counts. Rumor and innuendo has it, you might see Meanie and I in Philadelphia at the 2300 Arena at Icons of Wrestling. Maybe. Possibly. I know I'll be there. Meanie, maybe, possibly. Let's plant the seeds right now, and then in August we'll have a garden. But yeah, I'll definitely be there, so stop by and say hello. Come and see me. Find me in the crowd. I will be there. And I am so glad you are all here as well, Pod Squad. Thank you so much for joining us. Vanessa goes, and then on to StarCast. Maybe? I don't know. Hey, Conrad, holler at us, buddy.
I'm not booked, Terry.
We're available, so let us know. Tweet at Conrad. Ask him to let us stop by. But no, I'm grateful for you, Blue Meanie. I'm grateful for the Pod Squad. Thank you so much for allowing me to enter your earbuds every single Monday. Don't forget, patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie, where you can watch us record this and see our beautiful faces every time we record. And you can see this early and listen to us talk about everything under the sun. For the Blue Meanie, I'm Adam Barnard. Join us again each and every week as we take a trip through the mind
Blue World Order
of the Meanie. Peace.
This episode of Mind of the Meanie was recorded and produced by Adam Barnard and was engineered by Carl Pinnell. Additional production and narration provided by Sam Krebs. Our executive producers are Josh Chernoff, Adam Barnard, and the Blue Meanie. Our opening theme is performed by the Swamp Candles. Our closing theme is performed by Chikara. The show contains original music produced by Enrichment. Get additional bonus content by becoming our patron on Patreon at patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Mind of the Meanie. This has been a Butts Carlton media production in conjunction with the MLW Radio Network. Butts Carlton, proprietor. Blue World Order.
Dad, why is Blue Meanie's brain out?
The world of MLW Radio never stops.